Caitlin Clark has finally done it. She confirmed we're fans been whispering, speculating, and screenshot since her Nike logo dropped. Yes, Io Wilson insulted her, not in a friendly, competitive, we'll laugh about this later kind of way, in a way to hit in a way that landed. And now the tent between the WNBA, a rising icon, and its reigning queen is no longer just a fan-fueled conspiracy. It's real, it's raw, and it's about to redefine the league. Let's rewind, because his saga didn't start with Shu, it started with a shift. If you're here for the real story and not the filter version, so subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Nike handed Caitlin Clark a golden ticket, a signature logo, an upcoming shoe line, and the kind of campaign rollout you usually only see for A-listers or presidential candidates. That sleek double C emblem, instantly iconic, minimalist, modern. The car designed it screams, we're not waiting, this girl was a future, and we're betting now. Health, the internet exploded. Her merchandise sold out before most people could click add to cart. Website crashed, resale prices ridiculous. Clogs logo I arrived, and with it so had a seismic cultural shift. And in the shadows of hysteria, Io Wilson, the face of the Las Vegas Aces, a two-time MVP, a champion, a 6-year Nike athlete, someone who'd been grinding, representing, and dominating for years. Only watch Nike roll out the red carpet for a rookie before she got so much as a properly promoted sneaker. Fans noticed, teammates noticed, and apparently so did Wilson. Let's be clear, I never went full I hate Caitlin mode. She's too smart for that, too polished, but you need to. Her comments relaced with subtle venom, that kind of high-level shade only the most media-trained professionals know how to deliver. But now Caitlin Clark's confirmation changes everything. She didn't drop the full quote, because of course she didn't. That will be way too on the nose. But she did say enough to let me know that yes, words were exchanged. Yes, they stoned. And yes, this wasn't just a case of miscommunication or media-fueled drama. It was real, and suddenly, that friendly, low rivalry everyone was trying to pack into the bow. It's a Cold War, think about it. Clark, fresh-face media darling, barely enter first season, already being handed the keys to the kingdom. Wilson, the estab, was very loyal to Nike, used been face and league. And now watch in the spotlight shift, like she never existed. The tension was baked in the league and created the fans, done many fat, accurate. This was inevitable, and now the gloves are off. What we're seeing is so much bigger than logo. This is a collision of years of marketing philosophies of what it means to be a superstar in 2025. Clark is a face of the WNBA, future viral young, a walking highlight reel. Oh, the girl next door who turns into a stone-cold killer on the court. She's not just playing basketball, she's driving ratings, shifting demographics, getting people never watch WNBA game the suddenly tune in. Wilson, she built his house. She's been showed in the league visibility for years. IRS, putting the kind of work that didn't always come a media love or flashy campaigns. She's a player's player, the coach's favorite, the one who lead by example and makes it look easy, even when it's not. And now she's watching machine. She's helped powder sweat and sacrifice pivot to someone else, someone newer, someone shine year. That's not just a rivalry, that's an identity crisis, and fans are eating it up. Some are backing. I have all the way calling her the true face of the league, accusing Nike of betrayal, saying she's been disrespected after everything she's done. Others are all and on Clark, calling her the future, saying her marketability justifies brand attention, and dismissing Wilson frustration as jealousy. But it's not that simple, because this goes deeper than two players. This is about a league standing on the edge of a massive transformation and deciding who gets deleted. Clark's logo, that wasn't just the branding move. It was a power play. Yeah, a statement from Nike, and by extension, the entire ecosystem, a women's basketball. This is a direction we're going now. Clean lines, commercial appeal, cultural dominance. And what got caught in crossfire, the idea that winning leadership and loyalty are enough. Wilson's 6-year commitment. And Nike didn't get her signature logo, her MVP titles, didn't crash website, her championship wins, den of teens refreshing their browser at midnight. And that's the brutal truth behind his drama. Influence sells. More than excellence, Caitlin Clark's influence is undeniable. Her college games broke viewership records. Her name trends every time she plays. She's not just an athlete, she's a moment. And in 2025, moments are gold. So Nike cashed in, and in doing so, they reignited a conversation the league's been sidestepping for years. What really defines star? Is it stats? Is it leadership? Is it style, personality, timing? Or is it just being able to command attention? Clark can, and Wilson, she as, but not like this. Which is why does insult Clark confirmed hit so differently. It wasn't just about hurt feelings. It was about power, about watching someone step into your territory and be treated like royalty while you're still waiting for your coronation. Wilson's words, whatever they were, weren't just about Clark. They were about this system, the strategy, the shift. They were about feeling replaceable. And in a league that already fights for scraps of mainstream attention, that fear hits hard. But here's the twist, is drama. It might just be the best thing to ever happen to the WNBA, because suddenly everyone is watching every day. Game between these two must-see TV. Every post-game interview, a potential headline. Every tweet, every like, every out, for every side glance. It august the sector like as uproot or film. This isn't just a rivalry. This is a narrative, and narrative sells. Wilson and Clark aren't as AFL anymore. That a main characters and story that's shaping the future. The league, Clark, the disruptor; Wilson, the legacy; Nike, the puppeteer pulling the strings; and fans, we're just here for the drama. But let's not forget the stakes, because beneath the sass and the shade, there's a deeper calm and happening, about race, about respect, about who gets to be considered marketable, about how brands value different kinds of greatness, about how women's sports, even at its highest level, still as a fight for fair treatment. Behind the curtain, Clark's rise spectacular. Wilson frustration is valid, and Nike's role, and all this calculated to a fault. They knew this would cause controversy. They knew the fans would argue. They knew headlines like "Clark confirms Wilson insulted her" would go viral. And they wanted that, because controversy creates conversation, and conversation drive sales. So where do we go from here? Caitlin Clark is only going to get bigger. Her shoe is coming. Her brand is expanding. She'll be in commercials, campaigns, magazine covers. She's been positioned, as is Rena, the staff, the Jordan of his new generation of women's basketball. And Wilson, she has a choice to make. The she double down on or dominance and let her game talk louder than headlines? Or does you step into the fire? Owner narrative, and fourth, Nike and the lead to record the fact that she built this. Because here's the truth, the league needs both. Clark for the flash, Wilson for the found. Dayton, without one, the other doesn't stand tall. So if you're here for drama, buckle up, because the rivalry is no longer silent. The line in the sand has been drawn. And when Caitlin Clark finally confirmed that she was thrown kinda spill tea, she said the whole damn table on fire. Now it's your turn. Whose side are you on? Who deserves to be the face of lead? Didn't Nike played a smart or play everyone involved? Sound off in the comments like you the third ref in this branding brawl. And don't forget to subscribe for more chaos, more clap bags, and more meltdowns, and a front lines of pop culture and sports drama. This isn't your standard media beef. that fizzles out after one vague Instagram story and a PR-crafted apology. No, this is different. This is layers, like a triple overtime grudge match wrapped in million-dollar contracts and ego bruises. Caitlin Clark, confirming the I.O. Wilson, actually said something shady that wasn't as gossip fodder. That was a turning point. That was the moment. The whispers got receipts. Let's be honest, fans already felt a tension. Every interaction between these two, every look, every skipped compliment, every time one got asked about the other felt loaded. Like you could hear the eye rolls between the lines. But people told themselves now they're just competitive. That's normal. It's the media twisting things again. And then boom, Clark dropped the confirmation. She didn't have to say the exact words. The fact that she acknowledged it at all was enough. The everyone spiraling group chats were popping off. Reddit threads doubled in size. Podcasts scrambled to hit record because this wasn't just about Caitlin's shiny new logo anymore. It was about vindication. The Clark loyalists, fellow dad proof, now proof that Wilson was jealous, bitter, maybe even threatened. See, she was hating Clark. Didn't do anything wrong. She just got her bag. That crowd got loud fast. Meanwhile, Wilson's defenders dug and harder. Can you blame her? She earned what Clark is being handed. She paved the way for this moment. And now she's being sidelined. And for someone who has even made it through their rookie year, it's messy, it's emotional, it's giving unspoken tension turn main character energy, and is not just a player versus player moment. In a mirror reflecting everything broken and beautiful about sports culture branding, and who gets to be celebrated first. Because look, we all know this wasn't really about a logo. It was about power, about a 22-year-old walking into the WNBA and being told she's a future, while the woman who even care in prison gets treated like a footnote. It's about the ugly reality that in the eyes of big brands, cultural currency and commercial pull matter way more than stats or seniority. And now that Caitlin has acknowledged the insult, the power balance has shifted again. Because here's what no one wants to admit. Caitlin Clark had every reason to stay silent. She could play it cool, let the tension bubble, while she cashed checks and kept her image squeaky clean. But she chose to speak. And by doing so, she let the world know, I see the shade, I feel the tension, and I'm not pretending it's not happening. That's not as bold. That strategy. She's controlling the narrative now, not Nike, not the WNBA, and not even the fans are setting her every move like it's as uproot or film her. And Wilson, she's now got a decision to make. One negative fine, not just or legacy. But the tone of this rivalry. Does she escalate, come forward and say, yeah, I said it. And here's why. Late all out, call out the favoritism, the branding bias, the uncomfortable racial dynamics simmering underneath all this. Or does she stay quiet, let her perform and speak, focus on wins, and hope to story cool down while she builds our own legacy in silence? Here's the problem with silence. Though it gets interpreted, when you don't speak, people fill in the blanks. They assume you're fuming, they assume you're calculating, they assume you're bitter. And suddenly, the narrative moves without you. But Wilson's no rookie. She's media savvy. She knows his game better than most. So wherever next move is gonna be intentional. And let's not pretend Nike is an innocent bystander here. They lit the match. They dropped that logo with no context, no cushion, and definitely no parallel rollout for Wilson, who's been in brand longer than Clark's, even had a WNBA jersey. No dual campaign, no side-by-side feature, just one clean announcement that screamed, this is our girl now. It felt sharp, like a rebranding, like they weren't just backing Clark. They were replacing everyone else in the conversation. And it worked. The internet exploded. Sales. White people have never watched a women's basketball game in their life, are now rocking CC merch like it a lifestyle brand. but in doing that, Nike made a statement. This is a kind of player we're interested in now. Not just skilled, but buzzy, clickable, universally palatable. And the subtext that if you don't check all those boxes, you'll be left waiting no matter how many MVPs are on your shelf, which is exactly why Wilson, the lead, comment and hurt so much. It wasn't as a jab at a player, it was a scream into a system that seems to reward marketability over legacy, a league that constantly asks women to do more for attention, and then turned around and gives an old whoever walks in with the most followers and viral mixtape. Now, to be fair, Caitlyn, is that good though? Isn't just about hype. She's got the shot, the swagger, the leadership, the clutch gene. She earned her spot, but the speed at which the machine lifted her up, that's where things feel suspicious, and Wilson isn't the only one noticing. You think the other vets in the league aren't watching this unfold with one eyebrow raised? They're clocking the double standards, the media obsession, the sponsorship favoritism, the fact that one player's being asked to carry the league's cultural relevance like the solo act, while everyone else plays backup dancer. It's not sustainable. You can't build a league off one logo, off one highlight reel, off one viral star. That's not growth, that's gambling. And as Clark's profile exploded and Wilson frustration simmers, we're all watching a reckoning in real time. Because of the first time, we're being forced to ask, what does it take to matter? And women's sports today, is it wins or clicks, loyalty or leverage, consistency or charisma? And more importantly, is or ever enough room at the top for more than one woman? That's the question no brand wants to answer out loud. But here's the silver lining in all this drama. It means people care. They care enough to argue, to analyze, eyes, to take sides, to get emotionally invested in a leader for too long was treated like a niche product instead of a global platform. Clark versus Wilson isn't a feud, a spotlight. And now every move they make matters more than ever. So what happens next? Maybe Wilson drop her own logo. Maybe she gets picked up by another brand entirely and build an empire out of spite. Maybe Clark and Wilson meet in the playoff and take this rivalry from press conferences, the prime time, whatever it is. One thing for sure, the WNBA will never be the same, and honestly, that might be the best possible outcome. Big does it? There's one thing women's basketball is always desert, is this kind of chaos, this kind of visibility, this kind of headline generating, culture shifting, money making, can't look away moment. So yeah, Wilson insulted Clark. Clark confirmed it. The pot is officially boiling. And now the law league, the brands and the fans have to decide, are you watching because it's polite or because it's personal? Caitlyn Clark, and from Iowa, Wilson insulted her. She didn't as fan the flames. She flipped entire grill over and walked away like, whoops, did I do that? And now core public opinion is in full session, and the jury, we're deep in deliberation. Because this is no longer about stats, shoe deals, or which highlight clip went the most viral on TikTok. This is about identity, legacy, who gets to be the face of a league that finally on the brink of cultural explosion, and who gets quietly as out when the cameras show up. And the true Ruth, it's ugly. We got to the biggest stars in the WNBA, a Caitlyn Clark, the fresh on who entered the league with more momentum, and Beyonce album drop, and Io Wilson, the certified veteran, whose greatness was already carved into the history books at war, without ever throwing a punch. Think about it. This whole rivalry has played out in whispers, glances, implied jabs, nothing ever explicit. Just vibes. And now confirmation. And that confirmation, it was nuclear, because once Clark said out loud that Wilson had insulted her, even if it was just a line, a shade, a quote, a hurt, a cracked, the whole thing opened suddenly. This wasn't just two elite athletes existing in parallel. This was a full-on power struggle. The message was clear. I said something. It wasn't nice. And I felt it, which instantly reframed everything that moment during media day when I said she was focused on team success. Suddenly, it didn't feel so neutral. That little chuckle during an interview when asked about Clark's impact. Now it sounds pointed. The muted support online, the lack of reposting Clark's big Nike revealed a quiet oh. It was loud in hindsight, and let's not pretend Clark didn't know she was doing when she opened or mouth. She could have kept a classy sidestep whole thing like, oh, we're all just competitors. I don't take it personally. That would have been the polished answer, but instead she confirmed it. She acknowledged the insult, not to be messy, but to draw a line. And what did that do? It flipped the narrative. Suddenly Clark wasn't just the golden girl being handed endorsements on a silver platter. She was the underdog in a battle for respect, which is wild considering she's got the biggest brand and sport backing her, and a logo worth more than some franchises. But that's the genius of the move. She took all the whispers about being overhyped and flipped them into sympathy. Now she's a target of envy. The new girl just tried do her thing while the veterans throw side eye instead. A shade and Wilson. She's now called the worst PR place possible, the villain role she didn't audition for, because in a league still fighting for mainstream respect, any sign of pettiness where jealousy gets amplified tenfold. A guy can throw a tantrum and cold passion, a woman raises an eyebrow, and suddenly she's labeled catty, which is deeply unfair. Let's be very clear, Io Wilson is not some mean girl plot. Behind the scenes, she's a competitor, a leader, a winner. And what she's feeling, the hurt, the frustration, betrayal it. That she's been with Nike for years, cared to franchise, raise the league profile, won awards, build programs, mentor younger players. And when it came time for Nike to invest big, they gave their first big branding push to someone who had played a single WNBA game. Yet, would you be thrilled? Let's not pretend you when feel some type of way. You be furious. You wonder what else you had to do. You be standing there like, wait, am I just a warm-up act in someone else's tour? But the problem is public perception doesn't always make room for nuance to the casual fan. Io Wilson now looks like the salty vet, throwing jab from shadows and Clark. She's riding the sympathy wave straight to the bank. And have to clap back. She didn't drag Wilson's name through the mud. She just said enough to shift the mood. And that's where things get fascinating, because this isn't just a basketball thing. This is a branding war now. He made his choice early. Clark is their investment. The girl next door with deep range and a clean logo. She's what execs call scale. Well, she plays well in Middle America and courtside in New York. She sells out merch and gets grandma to tune in. She's box office and 2025 brain. And don't just want winners, they want influencers with handles. Clark's rise, textbook, college dominance, social media buzz, cultural relevance. Her name trends with every three-pointer. She speaks in press conferences like someone who already knows she's going to have a sneaker museum one day. Meanwhile, Wilson built her brandy old-fashioned way, sweat rings, interviews in locker room, and no viral drama. And for years, she was held up as the model for what a WNBA superstar should be, until Clark came along and rewrote the blueprint overnight. And now we got a lead divided, not just in the locker rooms, but in the phantoms, in the media, in the narrative. Because make no mistake, this rivalry is rewriting history in real time. Io Wilson's legacy should have been bulletproof, and in a way it still is. No one can erase her accomplishment.